One of those areas growing so quickly is Detroit and the Metro Detroit area. And the reason, it seems, is rooted in that really fast-growing tech sector, that startup and innovation ecosystem that we've really seen take off in Detroit. Second fastest growing startup ecosystem in the country, which is really great to see, as well as some of the new kind of tech manufacturing roles. We saw clean energy investments, for example, solar manufacturing, that kind of thing, really take off in the area. We have the fastest growing clean energy job sector in America now, which is interesting to see.
Today on Your Daily Detroit, a conversation about what happens when a state starts pushing back on one of its greatest challenges. After decades of decline, Michigan is seeing some positive population growth, particularly among young adults. To unpack this, my guest is Hillary Doe, Chief Growth Officer for the state of Michigan. Now, Chief Growth Officer might sound like pure bureaucratic jargon, but in this case, I think it can represent a real shift. This is a story of targeted investments, a focus on community building, and an understanding that attracting people is about creating a place where people want to be. It's also a check-in from a year ago when we last talked to Hillary about the progress and the work to be done. How do you reverse a brain drain? What does it take to make a state a place people choose? And can a state really change its narrative? I'm Jer Stays. Welcome to episode 1680 of Your Daily Detroit. Feedback is always dailydetroit@gmail.com or 313-789-3211. Let's pay a bill and jump into that conversation. In my mind, there's one choice for roofing around here, and I'd go with your best choice. Whether it's time to replace your roof or repair it, Best Choice Roofing provides top-notch roofing services tailored to meet the unique needs of Detroit homes and businesses. They serve the region and inside the city of Detroit, too. You can find out more at bestchoiceroofing.com/Detroit. That's bestchoiceroofing.com/Detroit, or call 313-474-7031. That's 313-474-7031. Joining me at the table at the Grand Hotel at the Mackinac Policy Conference is a return guest, Hillary Doe, the Chief Growth Officer of the state of Michigan. One, welcome back. Two, there's growth.
There's growth. Yeah, it's exciting. It's a good day to be back.
You've done your job, go home. It's over. It's all done.
Yeah, let's go, have a break.
Right. Interview. No, seriously, let's get into it a little bit because, obviously being a Detroit-based podcast, we talked a bit about what's happening in the city of Detroit, but there's multiple storylines here.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, we did have good news to share, and I'm excited to be here and have the chance to share it. Of course, my role was announced at this conference 2 years ago, so it's sort of our anniversary, good time to, mark our progress. And we got the chance to share that in addition to Detroit's growth for the second year, which is really exciting, that they're very much not alone, right? Flint also was able to report growth for the first time in, I think, 25 years, and 66% of Michigan counties grew last year. All of that's really good news. But in addition to it, I always like to highlight in particular our young adult population, because of course, long before you see population declines, you would see labor force declines. We need to be really thoughtful about making sure we're building places our young people want to stay, and folks across the country hopefully will also want to come join us. And now our young adult population, its growth is accelerating faster than 45 other states. We're fifth in the nation now. That was not always true. You remember the 2010s. We were not in that position. And so it's really good to see this sort of shape of the curve change for our state, even though we're very much getting started. I know we're joking about, being done, but I think basically we've sort of turned the ship in the right direction. And now it's time to sort of push our foot on the accelerator.
So what's been driving this change? Because I have been to many of these policy conferences. This is number 11 for me. And this has been something that has befuddled a number of people. What's driving this?
Yeah, I think there's not one answer. We started, I think we talked about this last time, with a lot of public engagement work, but then we really took it to heart, So we talked to 20,000 plus Michiganders and really made that our growth agenda. And it's included everything from big housing investments that you've seen. Those are critical to growth, as well as, childcare and pre-K investments. Pre-K for 4-year-olds is really important to families with children in terms of where they're going to call home. So policy investments. In addition to marketing investments, we launched a nationwide marketing campaign. And to date, we've had 40,000 people in about 18 months come through that campaign and say they're interested in living and working in Michigan. So there's, a lot of different factors here at play, but we can see who's moving to the state, and there's different archetypes. We can see folks moving to Western Michigan, Northern Michigan, remote workers interested in natural beauty, maybe moving for place, as well as a lot of folks moving to the Metro Detroit area for tech jobs and manufacturing jobs. So it's our economy and our jobs as well as our place and our storytelling, I think.
Yeah, and you're doing programs to welcome people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As part of what we were able to announce yesterday, we launched this program called Make My Home. It's got a couple different components, local grants, which we can chat about, but also the state's first statewide kind of welcome program. The idea there is for any recent grad who's coming out of college and choosing to call Michigan their home and put down roots here, or for folks across the country coming to join us, become new Michiganders, we want to make sure that they can get connected to all the perks of being a Michigander, including, like I just mentioned, free pre-K or signing up to get access to Michigan Reconnect and kind of community college benefits, or some of our down payment programs, for example, across the state, as well as, some of our small businesses have come to the table. We're continuing to invite more to join us, but, Boyne Mountain, for example, has offered a discount for new Michiganders, or Bamboo Co-working, so we're really trying. I joke it's the world's largest coupon book, but we're really trying to say to folks, hey, here are all the benefits of being a Michigander, and some of the get folks really to feel like a local more quickly.
I'm having flashbacks to my elementary school days with like the entertainment book.
Exactly.
I have this vision of you like going from place to place, like wandering into a city, be like, here is the Michigan book.
You didn't know they had it all figured out.
Right. You know what? Everything old is new again.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And obviously that's just a component of the program. But, we did a report. We analyzed 50 talent retention and attraction programs across the country. And it didn't really matter, if you gave folks $5,000 to move or you just had a welcome dinner. What really matters is that folks feel like, you need them there, you want them there, and you're, interested in doing what it takes to help folks feel like a local and make sure that they're getting invested with open arms.
Well, in a previous life, I actually worked on an incentive program for the Downtown Detroit Partnership, the Live Downtown program. I produced a video for that. And one of the things I was so adamant on was making sure we showed regular people and that they felt welcome as opposed to showing CEOs.
Yeah.
Right? Because there are very few CEOs in the world.
Sure.
Right? They want to see people. It's like, oh, I could see myself being their friend, or I could see myself there. And I think that is so crucial, and I think often is forgotten in a lot of these kind of programs.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things to that point, actually, I think you just hit on that I think about a lot is, as long as our young folks, for example, or, our students that we're trying to retain, what have you, aren't connected to their community, what right do we really have to retain them, right? Mm-hmm. Your community, in that case, is just a commodity. It could be anywhere. You could be in Rochester or Sacramento or anywhere, right? Because you aren't leaving your place. You aren't like sort of getting connected to other people and the things that make it great.
You need to earn the vote. And, there is so much of America that is similar that you've got to show why this place in Michigan, whatever they attach to, is different. What makes it special, whether it's going to Tigers games or to Quinneman Falls.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, to exactly that point, I think we have a unique pitch to make in that regard. I was mentioning the different archetypes of folks moving to the state, and for some, maybe it's natural beauty. That's the reason that they're moving. You'll see, kind of where they might end up across the state. And for other folks, it's, the culture and the history and what have you. And, they might end up in other parts of the state, the density, the walkability, and I think we're able to make that case, I think, to young folks here in the state and to folks across the country.
I don't know if you're able to do it on the fly, but can we localize a little bit to Metro Detroit and kind of what's driving things there and what we're seeing in Detroit and Metro Detroit, where our service area is?
Absolutely. So, I mentioned that study that came out in January that showed our young adult population accelerating more quickly than it had been. One of those areas growing so quickly is Detroit and the Metro Detroit area. And the reason, it seems, is rooted in that really fast-growing tech sector, that startup and innovation ecosystem that we've really seen take off in Detroit. Second fastest growing startup ecosystem in the country, which is really great to see, as well as some of the new kind of tech manufacturing roles. We saw clean energy investments, for example, solar manufacturing, that kind of thing, really take off in the area. We have the fastest growing clean energy job sector in America now, which is interesting to see.
People might not think about that because so much of the discussion in the popular thing is about gas versus electric, and that is not where that's not the sauce right now.
No, and it's certainly not the whole picture at all, right? And we actually, there's so much demand that exists in the market for those kinds of solutions. Business leaders across the country are experiencing business disruptions, for example, and are looking for different solutions, and Michigan really can provide them. So all to say, that really strong economic growth, I think, has been helpful to Detroit. But we've also really listened to residents and made the kinds of place-based investments they want to see. I think we need to keep doing more of that. So more walkability, more density and amenity richness. One of the things, of course, that always comes up is transit. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention our young folks talk about transit, everywhere we go. So that's something for us to keep working towards.
Well, I will say this, even though it's not on the official agenda, that has come up with a number of conversations here, including with Oakland County Executive Dave Coulter, who is a big proponent of transit, and goes, I need this for, Oakland County is a quarter of the GDP of Michigan. It is a powerhouse, and he's sitting there saying this is something that we need. And so it's not just us hipster urbanist Detroiters, as the internet keeps calling me.
No, absolutely. I mean, in fact, young folks in the UP mention transit, so it's consistent, across the board.
Yeah, and the solutions will look different in different places.
Absolutely.
But yeah. So you had a grant. So you had a grant program that you talked about
Yes.
up here at the conference. What's that all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mentioned the welcome program portion of Make My Home, but part that we're really, really excited about are these local grants. So to exactly the point you just made, growth should look different in different parts of the state. What Traverse City is thinking for growth and what they need to meet their growth goals is going to be different than what Detroit needs or Grand Rapids.
You mean we're not going to drop the Hudson's Tower in Marquette?
Exactly. But, I think there are a lot of states that have taken swings at this, have tried one size fits all solutions. That's not what Michiganders want, and it doesn't make sense, frankly. So when we launched this program, the intention was to allow Michigan communities to tell us who they need to retain or attract, and what sort of program benefits they wanted to provide to try to help get that done. And our program helps fund those. So, for example, one of the programs that was funded yesterday in West Michigan identified we need more teachers. We have a teacher shortage. It was that specific, right? And they wanted to provide a program to help retain and attract them. In Detroit, one of the programs that was funded yesterday is to help retain our entrepreneurs. I was just mentioning how important that startup and innovation ecosystem is. So to keep them, they're providing housing stipends to help retain talent in the area to build their companies here or attract folks to build their companies here. So it's really different in different parts of the state, but it's truly a first in the nation program, a really different swing, and I think we'll see the results.
Yeah. So there's been some early success, but obviously there's still more work to do. What are you looking forward to in the next year? What's on the goal board for Hillary Doe?
Yeah, no, we're, like I said, we're pointed in the right direction now, right? But we have a long way to go, and it's going to take everybody. It's a big group project. I think the thing that I'm sort of most eager to communicate at this conference and hoping for in the year to come is that even in a moment of a little bit of uncertainty, right? Things look different today than they maybe looked a couple years ago. We remember how important people are. That talent is our greatest asset here in the state. Again, we don't want to go back to losing 50,000 people a year like we did, in 2008 or 2010. So we really want to ensure that we continue on this trajectory. And I think now we know what works, right? We've spent the last couple years really listening to Michiganders, launched some of these programs that seem like they're really making an impact, from that marketing campaign to some of the policy work, to these recent pilots and programs. And I think we have to put our foot on the accelerator. So I'm hoping to really make that case for continued partnership and investment across the state.
Yeah. Well, Hillary Doe, the Chief Growth Officer of the state of Michigan, thank you so much for stopping by, and I'm sure we'll chat again.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, that is it for today's conversation. Thank you so much for listening. There is one favor you can do for us, as this is the last episode of the week. And I do promise Devin O'Reilly will be back next week. Share the show with a friend. Send an email to a buddy. Text it. Put it up on social media, Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever you put stuff out there. Word of mouth is the best way to push Detroit's conversation forward. And honestly, of all the things that we've ever done, it's you all sharing the show that's helped grow it the most. So I really appreciate that. All right, with that, I am Jer Stays. Remember that you are somebody, and we'll talk next week.